Hi guys, this is Sandy Klucas, and this is my presentation, Every Day Counts, Making School Attendance a Priority. This is over the case study in Module 11 in AEP 858. So first I'm just going to kind of report the facts of what's going on in this case. Golden Oaks High School is a school where I am now the new principal. It's the end of the first semester, and I find out that we have the lowest percentage of students attendance among all of our high schools in our district, with about 85% of our students missing 10 or more days of school. But before last year, Golden Oak had received recognition for achieving the highest rate of attendance among all the schools in the district. So something has happened over the last year and a half or so. Our homeroom teachers, one thing that I found from the case study, our homeroom teachers are not getting support from administration or the school counselor when they try to address attendance issues. Also, the activities director, or the AD, is allowing unexcused absences in a preferential manner. And something else that I find from reading through some of the notes in different student files from the case study is that some students and families may need some support or some education regarding the importance of regular school attendance. So first, let's talk about some legal and ethical issues. Parens patri is Latin for parent of his or her country, and what this concept means is that the state is allowed to enforce truancy laws because it's found that it's in the best interest of the community and for children for them to receive a quality education. And in order to do that, they need to be in school. Kansas statutes say that a student is truant if they are absent without excuse for a significant portion of the school day. And it goes on to define that as 3 consecutive days, or 5 days in a semester, or 7 days in a school year. So when that happens, the school needs to provide notice to the student's parent or guardian. Teachers are accountable to report accurate documentation when students are absent, and that's really important. Parents are required to report the reasons for absences, and they need to do it in a set amount of time before, they can't just let it go all year and then report it. So principals and school administration need to support teachers in addressing attendance issues. And because attendance has not been made a real priority, students have missed out on a lot of educational opportunities, and they've been harmed by that. School staff did not provide services in their contracts. As a teacher, part of our job is to report absences, and if we're not doing that, we're not living up to our contract. Also, by treating students differently, there was definitely some discrimination. That's kind of the definition of discrimination, right? So let's synthesize this situation. So Golden Oak High School has not made attendance a priority. There have been failures at all levels, and this is something that needs to be fixed, because if it gets worse, a lot of children are going to be harmed by this. So next we're going to synthesize, put together the facts, the people. So some students, and I'm thinking of, I think it was Karen, we found out she got married, and she was a good student before, and then she got married, and she's been missing school on certain days. And then we've got Tyrone, whose parents are trying to do the right thing and take him on these trips that are educational, where he will get some practical experience and see some things that he may never get another chance to do. And then I think about Christina, who needs to go on these church meetings that are sometimes days long. And then you think about Carl, whose parents don't really seem to value education. That he's going to go to VOTAC and he's going to get a job, and he doesn't need a high school education. This one really hit home for me because I actually had a student like that at our high school recently. He was going to be a diesel mechanic. He was going to school for that. He didn't need his high school diploma. And it was a struggle to get him to stay in school, but I think he was really proud when he graduated, and so was I. Then we need to think about parents. Many parents commute to work. They don't have time to attend school events. If they're spending an hour each way to and from work, they're not having a lot of time to spend at the school. And some of them don't seem to really value education a whole lot. And then again, teachers, they need some support from both administrators and parents. We've got a school counselor who doesn't seem to be addressing the issue. We have a school athletics director who's devaluing education really by acting unethically and illegally by not reporting absences or letting kids go home and rest so they can play football. What is that teaching students? And then there's me, the new principal, and I need to take care of this. A little bit about the place, the demographics. Golden Oak High School is in a suburban area. It's mostly the middle class, 965 students. And there's a growing Asian and Hispanic population. And like I said, a lot of parents are commuting because it's a suburban area, so they've got some travel time to work and back. Our program is a 9 through 12 high school, and there are a lot of opportunities for extracurricular activities and sports, and vocational school is offered. So I want to review and prioritize things. So if this continues, we're going to see harms to students and to the school and to the community. So we need to take care of this. All of us have a vested interest in this. I think of a school that my son would have gone to when we lived in California. And because the district was so big, the high school hours, in order to work out busing, the high school got out of school at 1:40 every day. And those kids, it was a place where people were commuting an hour and a half, 2 hours to work every day. So those kids were getting out of school at 1:40 and had nothing to do until their parents got home at 6, 7 o'clock at night. And there was definitely a change in our community because of that. So really everybody's got a vested interest in those. As far as I can tell from the case study, we haven't reached out to organizations like local churches, boys and girls clubs, the local library, things like that. Some parents have had input in the situation. We can tell from some of the notes in student files. But as a principal, I have not yet reached out to parents and students to see what I can do. So I need more information about how to make decisions about this. So I need to find some options and think about consequences. I think the first thing I could do is nothing, which students will continue to be harmed. So I don't really call that an option, but I guess it is. Option 2, I could take some kind of punitive action against the athletic director for doing something illegal. And I could provide extensive training to him and the counselor and some professional development to teachers as well. But the consequence there is staff morale will probably be very negatively affected. Option 3, I'm thinking something like remote learning for students, like when Tyrone goes on a trip. Let him change to remote for a week and still be able to be involved and get his assignments done. Or students like Karen, who may not be able to come to school. Maybe she has a new baby at home. Let her learn remotely. When her baby's sleeping, she can get online and do school. So consequences from that, we would need more teaching time and teachers to manage online learning. But students would benefit from not losing instructional time while they're away from school. My next option is education for families on the importance of school attendance. And the consequence for that would be need program resources and outreach to the community. But hopefully we'd get more family and community support for education. And my last option would be to offer makeup exams for students who miss them. And a consequence to that is students would be able to keep their grades up and teachers are able to keep data about student learning. So I want to really evaluate these options a little more in-depthly. Do nothing, I guess it requires no effort, but students continue to be harmed by a lack of value of education and school attendance gets worse and I will probably lose my job, hopefully. The next one is taking action against the AD and extensive training for him and the school, or her and the school counselor. Pros, hopefully we would build a staff who value education more by doing some professional developments with staff. We would communicate the importance of school attendance. The cons, though, I'm afraid we would have a lot lowered school morale, and I don't know that it would really take care of the problem because it doesn't address all the other issues. The next thing would be remote learning. And this does provide students who can't come into the school building with an option. It offers another option for students who may need to work or take care of a family. Some cons: it will probably be costly to implement. It'll take time and resources, and it might not be as effective as in-person learning is. And then we've got a program to promote education to families. So I would hope this would build community partnerships, family and community partnerships, develop a philosophy or a culture that helps families succeed because they start to value education more. But some cons are it will require a great deal of planning and time, and it may not be very effective. If parents are busy to the point of they can't ever get to the school, I don't know if they will make it there for this kind of meeting that I want to do. And then my last option, providing makeup tests. Some pros: it will allow students who miss school to keep their grades up, and it allows teachers to have more complete assessment data. But some cons is it's going to create extra work for teachers, and I'm afraid that it may encourage some students to miss school. I would hate to see a student say, well, I didn't study for my math test tomorrow, so I'm just going to stay home and study, and then I'll be able to take it the next day. And this brings up, it takes away some instructional control for teachers, and I think that those kinds of decisions really should be left with teachers. So finally, I need to make a choice. But before making a final decision, I need to meet with everyone. I need to have some community meetings. I need to meet with the specific parents whose kids are having a hard time. But let's pretend like I met with everybody. Based on the circumstances of my school, and everyone involved, I think offering remote learning for students who meet certain criteria is our best option. So, implementing this. In order to implement remote learning, I'm going to create a policy with guidelines. And one thing I want to say is that in order for a student to enroll in remote learning, they need to meet with the school counselor, with administrators, with teachers. There need to be regular meetings so we know that they're staying on track, that they're doing okay. And then I would think about contracting with a company like Kansas Connections Academy or some other similar nonprofit or charter school to provide those services so that I'm not putting an extra burden on my teachers. So what will implementation look like? I think that this policy for students to complete their high school graduation or education remotely will enable our students that have family and work obligations during the school day to stay in school. I think it'll help our school to have a better attendance rate, and it will provide students with more options. It's important to get information out there to everybody involved about the plan and how it's being implemented. It would take the school counselor, school leaders, teachers, everybody to communicate with students and parents and staff about the program. If this program didn't work, if we did this for a year and attendance got worse, I would look to some of the other options. I really like the idea of some community organization, boys and girls clubs, things like that, helping with this. But for now, I would hope that this would work. So by providing a non-traditional learning options, I think that we will convey a message that education is important to all stakeholders. So, and here's my standard component, if I have time. This presentation demonstrates my ability to gather, synthesize, and evaluate data to develop and implement management, communications, school-level governance, and operations systems. I was able to evaluate resource needs, use data ethically and equitably to develop a plan aligned to the school's vision and goals. So that's my presentation. Thank you for listening. Bye.